Good morning, everyone. So, dear student, in the last class, we have discussed about the biological importance of DNA. Nucleic acids completely. So, in the today's class, we will be having some important class of about very important thing, that is proteins. So, that means protein is one of the abundant molecule or a biomolecule. Most of our part of body is consist of a protein, right? So without the protein, we cannot imagine a normal growth of any living body, right? So protein gives us a structure, protein gives us a strength, right? So that's why this protein will be very important part, right? So not only protein, later we will see the amino acids also. Why? Because the amino acids are the building blocks of protein. So that means to produce these proteins, we require very importantly alpha amino acids. So these alpha amino acids undergo several changes and they form peptide chain, and then later it will act as a protein, which is a very important thing one we can say. As you all know, the protein is a most important biomolecule present in our body. So thus we will go with the protein. So proteins, right? Proteins are the most abundant biomolecule of living system. Most abundant biomolecule of the living system. So abundant is nothing but, right? So abundant is nothing but its availability, right? So it is most abundant is nothing but most, in the living body, but we can see a protein everywhere, right? So that means abundance is nothing but its amount. So its amount present in our body is more, right? So this is nothing but what the most abundant biomolecule one we can say, right? So the cheap sources of this protein, that means if we are seeing a very important part of our body, biological system or biomolecule, so that means we must and should know these protein where we will get. The cheap sources of protein are, you all know, right? Cheap sources of proteins are, first and foremost thing will be what? Milk, right? So milk is the very important thing to get a protein very easily. So milk, cheese, right? And then fish, meat, right? These are the cheap sources one we can say, and pulses, peanuts. So if you know, you can add some more sources, right? We have uh, more number of sources for a protein, right? So why? Because it is a very important part of our body, and this protein plays a very important role, right? So they occur. Next point, they occur. They occur, right? So where they occur, that means where we find this protein in our body. Why? Because I will not go in depth. So generally we will say they occur in every part of our body. They occur in every part of our body. So that means this protein we can get, as I said before also, this protein one we can get in every part of our body and forms a fundamental structure, very important, and forms fundamental structure. That means fundamental structure of our body. So fundamental is nothing but very basic structure, right? So without the protein, one we cannot get a fundamental structure, right? Fundamental structure and functions of even not only it forms a fundamental structure, it performs. That means it functions functioning also it can carry forward. So that's why the most abundant biomolecule of a living system. The cheap sources are, we can say, milk, cheese, fish, meat, pulses, peanuts. If you know, you can add some more, right? And they occur in every part of our body, forms a fundamental structure as well as it functions, right? So functioning of body is very important. That means we say a willpower. Willpower is nothing but so sudden reactions. See, whenever we see things, then our expression, our every part of our body will start working. Why? Because of these proteins, one we can say, right? So that's why always we say be healthy by eating a good food, one we can say, right? So the next point of about this is nothing but so they also require for growth. That means these proteins are required for these proteins are required for growth. Right? You know very well, right? So growth is very important, right? And maintenance of our body and maintenance of body, very important. So maintenance is also plays a very important role. So growth is nothing but we require a normal growth, right? With the span of time, right? So if we have a scarcity of protein, then there will be a no proper growth of that particular body, I mean living thing, one we can say. So that's why for growth also we require very importantly what, a protein. And the maintenance is also very important. Every where one we cannot concentrate on our body, so on the willpower itself they maintain. That means if we have a good amount of protein in our body, then our body will maintain itself with the help of what, proteins. Such an important character it plays a very important role in case of a living body. And the last point is all proteins are made up of with alpha amino acids. So alpha amino acids. So that means we can say this as a polymer, right? Poly means many. So this chapter has been deleted from your syllabus. So poly means many, big molecule, one we can say. So that means a single alpha amino acid will not be participate. Such I mean n number of alpha amino acid come together and they form a peptide chain, as I said in the last classes. So that peptide chain only lead to the formation of what, one we can say, a protein, right? So now with this, we will go with the amino acids. So simply amino acids. So amino acids is nothing but simply the, in our mouth, the sudden, I mean spontaneous word will come, that is the building block of amino acid is the building block of protein, right? So the next part of this is amino acids. So it's up to you. You can pronounce as a amino or amino, right? So amino acids are the building blocks of protein. So that means building block is nothing but what? So all the proteins are made up of with what? Amino acids. So as we saw in the last point only, that alpha amino acids are the building blocks. I mean, alpha amino acid only lead to the formation of a what? Protein, a polymer, right? So amino acids are building blocks of protein, contains amino groups. So this is very important. So amino group one we can say. So it consists of amino group. That means this amino group will be present, should be present. So if I give you overall idea about the peptide chain, then it will be looks like this, right? N, H, and later there will be a R. Directly I can say alkyl group. So R is nothing but alkyl group. So now, so how this will form, right? N number one we can say. Why? Because it is a polymer, and this peptide chain. So amino group of one amino acid and carbonyl group or carboxylic acid group of one amino acid will react. See, I will show you. C double bond O OH. It will be like this actually before formation of a peptide bond. So N NH, right, NH2, and this is the again the later part of one more amino acid. I mean so what happens is before formation of this, I mean this peptide chain or what protein. So there will be a removal of water. What is left? C double bond O and one H and one N, right? Like this. So they undergo every time they undergo like this. I mean, removal of water molecule, dehydration. One we can say dehydration type of reaction they undergo, they carry forward, and they lead to the formation of a peptide chain. So that's why because they this is having a alpha hydrogen with respect to the carbonyl group. So that's why we say alpha amino acid only undergo into the formation of what? Proteins, right? So next, the general representation which I can show, this general representation of amino acid is, so if you want you can have this definition. That means amino acids are the building blocks of protein, contains NH2 as a amino group in it, right? And and carboxylic acid, sorry, I have shown but not mentioned carboxylic acid also, very important. Carboxylic acid, amino group, as well as this, I mean C double bond O OH. So this part we have in our amino acids. Because of presence of acid, we say this as a amino acid. So amino as well as acid group is present with this. So that's why the name simply becomes a amino acid, right? And the general representation, if we see, then it looks like this, right? So the general representation of amino acid will be like this, general representation, and there will be R as I shown you, right? Just now. So this is the, that means there is a acidic group and there is a amino group. So because of these two, we say this as a amino acid. This is the general structure of what? Amino acid one we can say, right? So with this we conclude this part, right? We conclude this, and then we will move to the classification of amino acid. Say dear student, so you go through it. Why? Because it is a very big part. So and I don't know whether it is there or not in our revised syllabus, I mean new syllabus. So if it is there, then okay. For CET and NEET, you need to go through it, right? So that's why you just go through it and have some extra knowledge, right? With the help of a reader. So classification of amino acids. So we classify these amino acids based on, I will just give a hint, and then later in the tomorrow's class we will move in detail based on the nature, right? uh, neutral amino acid, acidic amino acid, and basic amino acid based on their nature. So that means neutral means it must and should have positive as well as negative. So that means it will be neutralized. Acidic amino acid means the more number of this, I mean COOH groups are present. So based on nature, we classify this amino acid into three categories, right? The first one is neutral, second one is acidic amino acid, and third one is basic amino acid. So based on these three, nature we divide. So neutral means neutralized. So that means the number of amino group is equal to a number of carboxylic group. That is what, right? And acidic amino acid is nothing but acidic means in such amino acid groups are more, one we can say. And the basic is nothing but what? NH2 is the base, right? So basic is nothing but what? Here there may be a presence of more number of amino groups. So the based on that one we can say as a basic amino acid. And later we have classification based on biological activity. You already know essential and non-essential amino acids. So these are the classification types. So in the next class, definitely we will go with these two, right? Thank you.